Hello, Heidi MacDonald here with Comics Beat. And today I am joined by JT4, James Tynion the Fourth. James, do people call you? How's it going, first off?
It's going great. It's going great.
So, has this JT4 name caught on? That's my biggest question.
It is like I think going all the way back, there's like little moments where like people will latch onto it a little bit. My when I was growing up, my stepmom would just go by like J4
Hmm.
sometimes. But yeah, no. I like it. It's
Okay, all right. So we can. It has the approval. So because it's a long name to type out. I
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason why I don't use Heidi at HeidiMacDonald.com as my email, right? It's
Oh
yeah. So thanks for taking time to talk to us. You have a new book coming out, and as always, as soon as I start recording something, somebody rings my doorbell, but I'm going to ignore it. So let the neighbors deal. Um, yeah, you have a new book coming out, Exquisite Corpse, correct?
Exquisite Corpses. Yeah.
Exquisite Corpses, because there are a lot of corpses, only one in the first issue, but do we think there'll be more?
I think it's fair to say that there will be more corpses over the course of the series. Yeah.
Uh, so yes, with art by Michael Walsh and published by Image Comics and coming out in May, I believe. Is
Yeah.
that it? All
Yeah.
right, I got it. I got it right. So I did have a chance to read the first issue. My first question is, do you play Fortnite?
I have played Fortnite. I am terrible at video games. I feel like I was like coming of age like in the generation like right before they introduced the second joystick, and ever since the second joystick was like I run in circles and like into walls, and it just never fully clicked. I was like, my stepbrother was a big gamer, and I would be the one in the oracle role. I would have the strategy guide in my lap, and I wouldn't give it, like I would know where he needs to go, but I wouldn't tell him where he needs to go. And I very much enjoyed doing that. And I have lots of friends who play lots of games, but it's like, so it's like I have had my ass kicked in Fortnite a few times by friends.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's you have a couple of ass kicking, death moments, and you're just like, I don't want to die. I just don't want to keep dying. And I'm also very bad at video games. I remember I started to play Arkham Asylum, and then just Batman kept dying and
Yeah.
like couldn't even get out of the first cell. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm really bad at this. I don't like seeing Batman keep dying. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna stop. Well, the reason I ask is because it is, I think the high pitch line for this is, Fortnite meets election, or I don't know what the log line was quite, in a small town in Maine. So
Yeah.
tell us where this book came from, what it's about, and where it came from.
So, I mean, it started with a kind of, simple ideas. I think I think I've become kind of known for my books having the like a certain kind of character in them, where it's just like I love character design. I love working with artists to cook up really cool characters. It's something that like back in my Batman run I did a lot. Erica Slaughter, I think, over at Something's Killing the Children is the like most iconic example. And it was also like it was that exploration process that came from like me realizing that I didn't need to like actually like take point. Like it was the I had all of my ideas about Erica Slaughter, but it was Werther who came up with the idea of the mask. And I
Mm.
love that back and forth. It's something that whenever I'm developing a new series, like I always need to see the characters before I start writing them. Like, so it's just like we'll just jam on like who these characters are and do character designs and all of that. And I wanted to do that like kind of writ large. Like I knew that we were going towards the funding of my new company, Tiny Onion. And it was just like I knew that like right out the gate, I wanted to do something big. And and I had this idea in my back of my mind where it's just like I want to create a bunch of these characters and I want them to be like a bunch of depraved killers. And then I want to fight the killers together. And then I also wanted to like I wanted this project to feel like a sort of event comic. And
Mm.
and this is something that it's why the person that I reached out to immediately, like 3 months before the funding of my company, was Michael Walsh, just to be like, hey, like you are like it coming out of the Silver Coin, which is one of the most like interesting collaborative experiments in comics of the last few years. It was just like, hey, I want to bring the kind of energy of like a big two event comic like writer's room into the kind of direct market uh like create our own space. Like I wanted to sort of take that energy and bring it there, and I want to create all of these like really really cool killers and unleash them into this place. And that's really where it started. It literally like right out after that call, like Michael started designing killers and like messaging them to me. And we really took it from there. And it's been we've been in development on this book for like a year and a half now. And it's just been like having that lead time, having the ability to like really dev this right and bring in like so many incredible creators to help flesh this world out, has been just such a joy.
Mm.
And I could not be more excited for more people
S-
to see what we've got cooking.
So how are you bringing in other creators on it?
Oh, so I mean, this is something where like we've got an incredible like team working with
Hmm.
us on this book. So essentially like the way that this works, it is like there's the reason that it's called Exquisite Corpses. An exquisite corpse is a kind of like writing game where it's a kind of baton pass from
Hmm.
writer to writer to writer of how to sort of build it out. Now we've like streamlined it and made sure that it's like it wasn't that blind a baton pass. I worked on the Commandy challenge over at DC. I had a lot of fun doing it, but I wanted something like coherent. And so it's just like we have a crew of writers that are coming in of like that. We've got Pornsak Piche Shode. We have Jordy Belair, we have Tyler Boss, we have Che Grayson, and we have Michael Walsh, who is a phenomenal writer himself. And it is just like we've built this world, and that's like we built this summit that brought all of these creators together. Then with like last fall, that we literally walking into the summit, we had this detailed Bible about the world. We had the entire 60-page first issue written. We had all of the characters designed, and then we were just like, what happens next? We didn't know. We didn't walk into that room with any sense of like which killer was going to make it to the end, which family was going to come out on top. We just knew who the characters were and the world, and we knew the rules of this world. And we wanted to like capture the actual like creative energy of like figuring it out together. And the answers that we like what we landed on, it is not a story that Michael and I could have cooked up on our own. Like, and then on top of that, like Michael and I will have our, fingers in the entire story. Like we continue to past the first issue, we continue to follow the wealthy families that are kind of overseeing everything as like basically as kind of the prologue and coda to every issue. And set the stage for what we're building. But then the writers that we brought in are going the like those creative teams are going to start like actually like follow the actions of the people in the small town of Oak Valley as they figure out what's happening next.
So
Like,
just to jump in just about the premise of the book is that there's a small town in Maine, and every 5 years, the 12 wealthiest families in the United States have a fight to the death to see who will rule the world, right?
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
an election
yeah,
parable
yeah,
via a fortnight, like, battle to the death, set in a small Maine town.
yeah,
So is that an accurate summation
yeah,
of,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That,
And
that, Yeah.
And then you're bringing it like it's, I mean, it's fascinating though, this whole idea of writing at room. People like Pornsak and Michael will be writing individual parts of each issue going
Yeah,
forward.
there will be like, there's sort of there's a primary writer of kind of each issue, and then me and Walsh are like a part of every
Right,
issue.
right,
But
right,
it
right,
is,
right.
and then Jordi Belair is coloring like is unifying the entire
Sure.
thing. Like Becca Carey on letters, like we're making sure that this reads as a cohesive singular piece. We've been like that was the other element of the writers' room, is like we made sure to polish the story and make it work as a cohesive whole.
So
Uh,
you
yeah.
so you really did take the whole writer's room concept, which doesn't exist as much anymore since there isn't as much serial TV that goes on and bought it to a comic book. How many issues is this?
So the initial story is going to be 13 issues.
Okay.
So it is like it's a substantial, we've got a lot of characters, we've got a lot of killers to get to burn through to get to a winner. And it's, like this is and then we also have like this incredible cast of the actual people who live in the town. So
Mhm,
that's sort of the center of the story, and that 13 issue story will like tell the story of this game of exquisite corpses in the town of Oak Valley, Maine. But then from there, like our hope is that in success, like we've created all of these incredible characters, and then we can go and tell the backstories of those characters,
mhm,
and then we can build towards the next game of Exquisite Corpses, or tell the story of what happened in the game that was played in 1985, where all of the killers could like lean into very much that kind of
mhm,
slasher vibe of that era. So it's just like we wanna leave the door open to like really to keep iterating and keep playing, but that play is so at the center of this entire thing. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a. I think I said in like my newsletter that I put out about it that it's just like this is it's like a game that me and Michael Walsh created. Like we built
Mm,
the Bible, we built the rules, and then we brought in people to play it with us.
Fascinating. A really interesting way of approaching things. I have to ask you one question. Have you spent much time in Maine?
I have spent some time up in Maine,
Okay.
like
Okay. My
and
family
like
lives there, so I go there every, 3 or 4 times every year. So just.
it is, it's like like I have a lot of family up in Vermont and New Hampshire, like, and
Okay.
I've spent some time in Maine, but it's like Maine also represents in horror fiction something larger than life, which is
Hmm.
like evoking our patron saint Stephen King.
Oh yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah.
So it is an iconic setting. And next time I see you in person, I'll tell you some of my main horror stories.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please.
Oh yes. I, boy, there's so many things that I want to ask you about, and because it's such an interesting way to develop a story, and I'm just fascinated by how people get an idea and how they make that idea happen, because that's really the ideas are so cheap, right?
Yeah.
And executing the ideas is what takes the time. So I it's interesting that you mentioned character design, and because I was at Toy Fair and looking, I think I even wrote about this a little bit in I wrote a little recap piece. But when you look at like, the Dragon Ball toys or the One Piece toys, and you're just like, holy crap, how did one person sit down and, like they were the greatest character designers of all times. Toriyama and
Yeah.
Oda, I mean Oda still is. And the characters just leap off the page. And I feel like this current kind of movie pitched based era of comics, which, not saying Tiny Onion is any part of that, but certainly it's out there, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it doesn't lend itself as well to something that comics do amazingly well, is character design and
Yeah.
making like characters that you want to have as a toy on your desk, and well, you want to have as a keychain, or you want, the merchandising. I don't think there's any shame in merchandise and toys, because that's a huge part of, it's always been a huge part of comics.
And I think it's even beyond the like, like the I think it was the what's the word that was like it became a bad word in the 90s, like toyetic.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it's just the, I think of it a lot more just in the simple terms of it's like we are in a visual medium. And I think sometimes we forget that it's like the focal characters in a visual medium need to be visually interesting. And then beyond that, they need to sort of speak to the heart of what a project is. Like I spend a lot of I've spent a lot of time talking about the idea of like the importance of the key image. And it's
Mm.
like, with Something is Killing the Children, it is Erica Slaughter. Like when you see the image of Erica Slaughter, you don't even need the title "Something is Killing the Children." You get the sense of what the book is. It is an action horror series. Like
Hmm.
you get that from her design, her like everything about her. And it's just like it's the language in which we're communicating. And I think manga is often like can often do a better job at that in terms of like there are jokes that float around online, little memes about like which is the protagonist in the anime, and then it's like you see there's like four like a bunch of like school
Right.
students sitting at desks, and then there's one who has like purple hair and spikes, and it's like yeah, that's probably the protagonist.
Right, right.
And it's just like we're in a visual medium, and visual extremes are important, and it's not
Hmm.
about like trying to you know preemptively translate that into a medium that's going to have to like dial it down in some ways and like bring a kind of realism to it. We have to lean into the extremes of the medium that we're in and speak in the language that we know people respond to. Like, you brought up Fortnite. There's definitely a kind of expressive nature in each of these character designs that has that kind of like contemporary video game equality. And that was
Hmm.
very much like what part of like Walsh and I were going for. It's like we want people to see the blend of influences. Like these are like horror characters in so many different ways, but you can see like influences from superhero comics, you can see influences from manga, you can see influences from old slasher movies, and it's the like blend of all of those things together and seeing all of that blended together into these characters and seeing the juxtaposition of all of the characters together immediately says what the book is.
Hmm.
Like, and then, from there, that's the key image that kind of sells the concept of the story. But then then it's like our responsibility to dial that back. That it's just like we have, similar to what I did, I like the how I approach Something is Killing the Children. Like we have this whole like larger than life world of Erica Slaughter and the House of Slaughter and like all of these masks and like, all of that. But when I'm telling a Something is Killing the Children story, especially the like big 15 issue story cycles, it's always a story about a small town that then the like and the people living in that small town. And then it's this story of how their lives intersect with this larger than life quality. And it's just like that's exactly what we're trying to do here. I remember like when we brought the writers into the room, I kind of laid out what the kind of like writing rules of this whole project were. And one of the key ones was the only way that this functions as a horror story is that the emotional drivers of this story have to be the civilians living in the town. Because to them, what is happening is horrific. Like
Hmm.
this is like this big, like thoughtless, evil game is being played in their town, and they are being caught in the crossfire. And what makes the emotional stakes of the entire thing work is like seeing all of this happen through their eyes rather than like there's the version of this story that would just be a kind of like action comic where
Hmm.
like it's like digging into the backstories of each of the killers and all of that stuff like right from go, but then there's no humanity to it. Like, and without the humanity, horror doesn't function.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also like a lot of your work is very resonant with our times, just in dealing with conspiracy theories and, rich people. And, this is very much like you said, you came up with it with a year and a half ago. And, as I was reading this first issue, um, very often when I read comics now, I don't think, this could never happen. right? I don't think this could ever happen. Like some Vertigo books seem like documentaries
Yeah.
now. I mean, how much does trying to as a writer, it has to be kind of hard because there almost is nothing too outlandish anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, as a writer, how does these surreal and insane times that we live in affect you?
I mean, I'm very grateful that I write horror. Like that is, I think the function of horror is to dig into what makes me uncomfortable and afraid about the world. Like that is the function of horror as a genre. That is the function of that I use for horror. Like it's either what I am afraid about societally or what I'm afraid about personally or both. And something is killing the children is that. Department of Truth is like very, very much that. And Exquisite Corpses does the exact same thing. It is just like it is the how little the wealthiest people in the world care about the people actually living in the world. And it
When
is
you think sometimes, oh, they couldn't be that uh, you know, heartless and cruel, and then now we know they can.
yeah. Yeah. No, and it's just like, and honestly, I don't know. Living in the world the last 10 years is at this point, I don't have any. Like, I don't know. I think I've burned out at like my sense of like disbelief of
Mm,
like how rotten the world can be. But I
mhm,
mean like I do think that like as long as there's a kind of humanist heart to the storytelling, like I want to play with the dangerous ideas. Like I want to play with what makes me the most uncomfortable. And it's
mm,
always like, and, shying away from the like, the razor's edge would do a disservice to all of these stories. But it's like, it's one of those things that makes me glad that I'm not working in superhero comics right now because I think I would have a hard time. Like,
mhm,
the that kind of like good triumphs over evil, and it's just like I like not always. Like I think that there's goodness that persists in the face of evil. Like, and I think that there's, like that is that I've read enough superhero comics. Like there's a wall of superhero comics behind me. But it is just like so it's still baked in somewhere deep in me that I can't fully shake, but at the same time it's just like I feel much more comfortable leaning into the most like to the extremities of this moment and then to build from, and then I want to tell the most like human stories possible in the face of it.
absolutely. Well, you mentioned your backdrop. I joked when we got online that I was, happy you went to your local comic shop to do this interview, but this is your collection.
Oh yeah.
I
No, and this
just
is
is
only one wall of it. There's
so.
like another wall right here and another wall like right here.
So I want to do a big piece about storing and collecting because the reason why mine is a blue sky is because I don't have a system for that and it's a horrible jumble behind me. But yeah, like do you ever throw out comics?
I I think it's the thing that working in the DC offices, like finally, like that burned out a kind of. That's when I stopped bagging and boarding single
Yeah.
issues. Is just like, oh, this is just paper. This is just
Mm,
paper, and I'm surrounded by paper. But it's like I love having my collection. I'm a rereader, and I like touching, going back to old touchstones, especially when like I'm pulling from like if I'm trying to like capture a feeling that I felt when I
mm,
was reading a book like a long time ago. And then I love being able to lean into it's like, oh, I haven't read this in a while, and then there's always something that like uncovers itself in that conversation. Like I had a great moment at the start of last year that I reread all of Strangers in Paradise for the first time in years, years and years and years.
mm,
And it was like the realization that of how much Kachu in my head had informed the like creation of like Erica Slaughter, like the personality wise, and it's not like one to one or anything, but it's just like I had not even like processed that this was like a key inspiration point for that character.
Mm.
And it's just like that. Those are the discoveries I love to make, where it's just
Mhm.
like they're where to like what's the blend of influences in my brain that is, like coming to life. And it's just like I like having all of my stuff around me, but single issues, like, I don't know, like that's much harder.
It's hard. It's
Uh
hard.
and it's just
It
like on
becomes
top of that, I get
easier.
comps. Like, you know how many books I put out? I get comps of all of them. I have like I'm paying essentially for a second apartment in New York City, like just have
So,
storage lockers.
so are we all. So are we all.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a lot. We only have a couple minutes left. I wanted to jump in just really quickly. James, you have to return to the beat so we can do a full-on Tiny Onion
Yeah.
download exploration, because obviously what you're doing with your content studio is incredible and very just the old gods are dead. That's my motto. Um, I don't know if you're involved in this, but I did notice that you were using bindings. Like I got a preview of it. I don't know. Are you involved in that at all? This is a service that is, helping people,
Yeah.
creators with their marketing. And you've talked a lot about marketing. So in our 4 remaining minutes, thoughts on tools for creators and marketing.
Yeah, I mean, like I think one of the like core principles of Tiny Onion is our independence. Like we like are, like we have books coming out through a bunch of different publishers. Like Image has been such an incredible partner for Exquisite Corpses, but I love like the Blue Book series that we're doing over at Dark Horse. I love everything that we're developing with the Slaughterverse over at Boom. And similarly, it's just like having that kind of independent team allows us to sort of like, oh, that looks cool. We should go play with that for a little bit. And like bindings is a very, very cool tool. Like, and we want to see like what happens when we play with it. And I think that that's so core to what we're doing. Like, comics marketing is such a fascinating thing right now. Like, since the sort of collapse of like, the value of social media in some ways, like for as like the primary driver of comics marketing. And there are so many fewer outlets these days like covering comics and all of that. It's like, where how can you drive conversation, and like how to be a part of it is like so key to like building up a company. And it's why like one of my first hires was Jaslyn Stone to like build out my communications team, which is kind of, like we're not a publisher. So it's like we don't have a sales team, but
Hmm.
it's like it's our comms team. And it's our comms team is how do we speak to the public? How do we speak to like retailers, and how do we speak to like how do we speak to everybody? Like, and
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
our fans, to our community. And it's just like we want to like my mom was an ad exec. I grew up around advertisements and all of this stuff. I have lots of, my first job out of college was as a copywriter. Like, the like marketing is just so important. And I could see like when I would be a part of like a DC event, like sometimes there would be these ideas that would come up in the creative side of the room, that then we'd be like, oh, we could do like an ad like this that could build up to it. And it'd be like 3 months before the marketing team would find out about that idea in the room. And at that point, it was too late. And it was like, so for the like creative summit, like I had my full marketing team
Hmm.
in the room listening to everything that's happening. And
Hmm.
everything you're seeing now, like the Corpse tour, and like we're doing a bit like a signing tour for every single stop, every single issue released in the first, like 13, like the 13 issue story cycle here. Like we're going to be out there at retailers like all around the country, and I'm going to be there personally. And it's just like and then everything we're building around, like there's a card game component to this as well that we're playing with, that we've started hinting at in a bunch of different ways. But it's just like there's all of this stuff that's all about like play, and it's the invitation to play with us,
Hmm.
like because
Yeah.
that's like what's the value proposition, like when you're going to like when you're going out to like to a retailer or a reader and everything. And it's just like right now, when it's like we're in this moment where it's so hard to capture people's attention, it's like you want to be like like come be a part of something. And it's
Hmm.
like I feel
Hmm.
like that's what we're like. And especially that kind of building up something like Exquisite Corpses, which has that play element just built into the core concept, built into how we made the book and all of that. And it's also core to how we're reaching out to our readers, and all of that, because we're basically saying, come play with us.
Mm.
And that's the key.
So James, we're out of time here for this, but I think that's a great note to end on, but also really a fascinating concept. And you have so much stuff going on right now, and it's with Exquisite Corpses coming from Image in May, final order cutoff coming in
Yeah.
just a few weeks as you see this.
I
You're
think it's
trying some
April 21st or
April
22nd is
April
FOC.
21st, and you're trying something different yet again.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and that's fun. That's the fun bit. Like, we're in comics. Like, why just like, it's like I'm not just gonna try to like create like something is killing the children too. Like, it is just a like I want to try new things. I want to have fun and I want to work with the creators that I love working with. Like
well,
the only downside of like working in creator-owned comics sometimes is that you lose that kind of like team aspect that you can get when you're working as a part of like a big superhero universe. And it's just like, how can we bring that energy into this space? And it's like that was the question we were asking ourselves that led to the creation of Exquisite Corpses. And I hope that people really respond to it.
I hope so too. James, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck with all of your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Signing off.